Good evening. Welcome to IQI Australia Friday Prop Talk. I am Leanne. I'm your host this evening. Now, we are broadcasting live from the City of Life, Perth, Western Australia. And thank you for joining us this evening. Now, before we start the session this evening, let me introduce IQI, the company. So, IQI stands for International Quality Investment. We are Perth-based sales and marketing real estate agency specialized in apartment project marketing, as well as brand new house and land packages. And we also do secondary market as well. So if you are looking to sell your property, we can help you too. So, with our extensive knowledge in the property market, we have helped many investors, either locally or from overseas, and first home buyer as well, to secure their property, not only in Perth in Western Australia, um, or Australia, but overseas as well. So recently, we just got a lovely testimonial from one of our clients who bought an investment from us in Bangkok. So she have written a very lovely testimonial for us. So I would like to thank you. Thank you so much for that word of encouragement for us. Yeah. Now, this evening, now I feel like I'm actually stating the obvious here. We are talking about buying your first home, your first properties, and yeah, buying a home. It's probably, I think, for most of us, it's the biggest financial commitment that we're going to make in our life. It is a very daunting process, especially if you're going to buy this as your first home. There will be so many things that you need to know, and then yeah, as a buyer, you probably have lots of questions and uncertainty about what to do. So that's why we thought this evening we're going to cover some of the topics because recently we have also seen a lot of new announcements from the government trying to help our first home buyer. So we thought maybe now is a good time to gather some of the information and do a quick sharing about all the scheme and the grant. Either they're new because some of them are old. Yeah, either they're new or they're old. We thought it would be nice to put them together and share with all our first home buyer this evening. Now, joining me tonight is none other than our IQI Australia Director, Lily Chong. So Lily is going to join me this evening to talk about some of the grant and the scheme that have been recently introduced. So join me, welcome Lily. If we
I'm
Hi Lily, yep,
I'm
I
on the
saw you.
call already, right? I'm
Hi,
just
sorry.
waiting because it
Yes, yeah,
seems
on
like
the
you're
yeah.
on
I
live
think
already.
there is a small lagging happening there. That's why I was like, where is she? How are you, Lily?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me again. Yeah. Especially
No,
these topics suddenly make me feel so young.
no, thank you so much for for taking the time. I know you're very busy. Yeah, but yet you still go on and prepare good information to share with our audience this evening. Yeah, so really appreciate that. Because tonight this topic is a very exciting one: buying your first home. Because home ownership is basically all Australian dream. I guess not only just the Australia big dream. Everyone dream. Everyone want to have their own home, and everyone to want to be able to call something their house. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, Lily, do you remember the first time when you bought your first home? I mean, it sounds like so long ago, right?
Oh, come on, I'm still young. Oh
Well,
yeah.
I was thinking about that as I prepared this topic. I was like, well, buying my first home, that is like about 20 years ago, just under
That's
20
fine.
years. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
time's
I
flying.
don't even dare to mention the year. Yeah,
So,
definitely. I
how was
mean,
your experience when you bought your first home?
oh yes, that experience, right? How can I ever forget? So I actually bought my first property in Hong Kong. That was
Mhm,
on the second year after I graduated from the university. So to be honest, very not easy. As you know, as a fresh graduate, just come up from uni, we don't have so much of money, okay? And
mhm,
as especially we were living in Hong Kong, the shopping
mhm,
haven't. So
mhm,
savings, right, is kind of challenging. But
mhm,
everyone has their goal, after they come up from uni. So same to me, I have my goal as well. Since kids, we have been being taught like we have to have our first home, our, we just want to have that like home ownership, as soon as we step out from the uni. So
Mm,
which I did. So indirectly, so now I think back, after many years, I don't even want to discuss how many years. So indirectly, the home ownership goals, right, has actually trained me to pay my bill on time, and
mm,
also train me, or teach me how to spend wisely. That's why even like, after I bought my first home, it just not long before I moved back to Australia, I managed to buy my first investment property in Australia with my sibling. And now when I think back, right, it's maybe probably not the best move, as both of us were the first home buyer. So if
mm.
we better understand, or somebody have ever taught us at that times, right, use the screen properly, we may make a different decisions at that times.
Mm. Yeah, thank you so much for that sharing that experience. And I think through what you have sharing, there's two key points that I got out from it. The first one is determination. I think it's so important to stay focused once you decide that home ownership is something that you want to do, because saving up a deposit is never easy, especially when you mentioned that your first home is in Hong Kong. Everyone knows the property price in Hong Kong is crazy.
That's right.
So imagine to set up that deposit is so it's not an easy job, but it doesn't mean that it's not doable. Yeah. So I mean, for our younger generation these days, or whoever that live in the current climate, saving up is probably it's very difficult, because everything is going up in price. The petrol, the insurance, even the letters, yeah, price is going up, a couple months ago. Yeah. So important to stay focused, and sometimes it's nice to have another person to be accountable for, encourage. I mean, if you have a partner, it's good you can work together, but if you don't, maybe your parents or your sibling or your best friend can be someone that who accountable for, like, you can work together, and then each encourage each other to save. You really have to stay focused. I think not only that, um, it is a good idea to speak to a professional, to find out exactly how much you need to save. I think one of the question a lot of the first home buyer uncertain is, I don't know how much to save. And yeah, speak to someone, because there is lots of things to consider. For example, you need to find out how much, like what is your serviceability, basically based on your current financial, I mean, your financial situation, your income minus your expenses, all these things. It will work out how much the bank is ready to lend you, and then that will determine what sort of property price range that you can start looking at. And also, as you work backward, then it will kind of like work down to how much deposit you actually need. So that will help with the saving plan. And also, the second thing, big thing that you mentioned about is the knowledge. So knowledge is the key. I think knowledge is the thing for everything, basically, not
Mm,
only about the whole buying process, but know what help is out there that you can actually take benefit from. So yeah, you'll be surprised. A lot of the younger people or first home buyer out there is not sure where what help they can get and what
mm,
can they enjoy from the government.
mm,
So we touch on the first home grant that you mentioned just then. So perhaps we can start from that topic. Now, before I go on, I would just want to do a quick reminder and disclaimer to our audience this evening. Our conversation tonight is intended to just to inform and should be used as a general guide only. And we are also talking specifically about buying a property in Western Australia. So yeah, because every state and territory have a different set of rules, or they have different grant. So if you are looking to buy in other states or territory, please look up the website to find out all the detail. If not, our contact detail is actually on the screen. Do get in touch with us. And as I previously mentioned, we are not only just working in, based in Perth, we actually have connection or have work or even properties that in interstate that we are marketing. So we will be able to help you on that. Now, back to our conversation. First, home owner grant. Even though this is not a new thing, been out there for a long time, and yeah, when I bought my first home, I used that grant. The grant changed a little bit as the time go. Um, Many people still not sure about this grant. So, Lily, can you talk a little bit more about this grant with our audience this evening?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Lian. So I think to make it easier for everyone, I
Mm,
have actually prepared a PowerPoint. I think
nice.
we by using the PowerPoint will be easier.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. So everyone can see the screens, right? Okay.
yeah,
Now,
perfect.
Lian has gone through the disclaimer, so I straight to the contents of the for tonight. So I will go through first home owner grant, which Lian just mentioned, and then we'll go through a bit of the home guarantee schemes, and then also the new hot urban connect home loans, and then last I will just touch the low deposit home loans. Okay, now what is first home owner grant? This is not something new. It has been a while. So the first home owner grants is actually one of payment to assist or help first home buyer to buy or build a residential property to use as their principal place of residence. So the grant is in total is 10,000, and it is only one grant is payable per is payable to how to say one grant is payable per eligible transactions. That would be
Yeah.
easier to understand. So if
Mm.
two people purchasing a house together, you still entitled for only one grant. That was a mistake I made before. So the grant is not available for the purchase of established home or renovations purpose, unfortunately. Okay. Beside the grants, right, as a first home grant, as a first home buyer, you also entitled for the concessions of these first home owner rates of duty. For example, for house and lands, right, the total values of the, let's say for the house and land is cannot be more than 530,000. And then so as long as your duty, I mean, the house value is not more than 430,000, basically there's no duty that you need to be paid. But in case you have 430,000 up to 530,000 in between, the duty is payable at the rate of about $19.19 for every $100. And then
Mhm.
as for the vacant land side, the value will be slightly different. As long as the value is not more than 400,000, and for the value below 300,000, you have totally no stamp duty. But for the value in between 300,000 up to 400,000, the duty is payable at the rate around $13 for every $100. But basically, don't worry too much on that because you actually can use the calculator. Okay, you just type in stamp duty for WA, and actually you go to rewa.com, you will find the calculator there. Okay.
Mhm.
And then come to the what sort of eligibility requirements for the grants. So come to incomes, right? They actually they don't do any check, not checking. I would say, right, the income level will not be affected the eligibility for the grant.
Nice.
Second, your age, you must be 18 years old or over. And then what else? At least one applicant must be an Australian citizen or PR at the times when you're making the applications. And what else? The applications or the application and all the spouse or de factos, right, cannot previously receive the grants or first home owner right of duty from any other state in Australia. Okay, we will go through more on that in the later slides. And what else? You must occupy the home as your principal place of residence for a continue at least 6 months. Okay, commencing within 12 months of settlements if you purchasing a home, or within 12 months from the date when the completions of building a new home. So in case you're not quite sure whether you ever own a house or not, right? Please contact Landgate, and then they can confirm that, they can confirm the ownership for whether you ever own the property. Okay. And these applications, right? I mean, these applications for the grant, you can actually do it through your broker, your banker, or even you can go straight to the revenue or WA as well. So there are a couple ways you can do that. Okay, my suggestion is go to the bank and go to the broker. The documentations will be much easier. Okay, if in
Yeah.
case instead of you do it yourself. Okay, now what is the cap of the total value of the house and land? That will be various, depends where the home is located. For the above, like the 26 parameters, so the total value is 1 million. And below the 26 parallels, that will be 750,000 as the max, which means that if you buy a house, let's say, to be honest, right, for all the Perth metropolitan areas, right, will be covered under the 750,000. As long as your house value is not more than 750,000, you will get the grant. Okay, now, so there are some conditions, right? I mean, come to eligibles, right? There are some conditions that sometimes we actually overlook. Okay, I did overlook when I just started in this industry. So when we mentioned, right, the applicant should never own some things, right? There is a timeline. Okay, as you can see from the slides, right, the applications should never own a residential property in Australia, regardless is jointly or they're separately or with another person before the 1st of July, year 2000. So if you ever own one before that timeline, so you're not entitled for that, okay? Now, what if you have a property after the 1st of July, but before the 1st of, no, after the 1st of July, year 2000, but before the 1st of July, year 2004, as long as you own it and then you never live into it, you're still eligible, okay? Now, the last one is more applicable. This section is more applicable to the recent cases. So if you ever own a house, I mean, just like a lot of people come to me, I own a investment house. Am I still entitled for the grant? Yes, as long as you never continually live into that residential house for more than 6 months. Okay, that is where it's referring to. So back to you, Lian. I hope I make a quite detailed explanation about the first home grant.
Yes, you certainly have. I think especially with the timeline, that is very helpful because when
Mm,
there's multiple date to have that we'll be able to look at it visually, and that's also again some of the confusion where people get in terms of timeline. They don't know that certain exclusion or inclusion that they can actually still eligible or not eligible for the grant. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that with our audience here. So that grant sounds like it's really really helpful to kickstart home ownership. With that, you're entitled 10,000, almost like, yeah, cash payment from the government.
mm,
If you buy something brand new, and pay no stamp duty if you are buying a property under 430,000. You'll be so surprised. There is still properties around that price point in Western
mm,
Australia, in a good suburb, like relatively well connected, close to places. Yeah, it's not like too far away. Yeah. So talking about the stamp duty for a property that is 430,000, we are looking at $14,000 of saving. So that is quite a big chunk of saving. The grant plus the 14,000, that is a 24,000 of saving. It will, yeah, really help our home buyer to start that journey.
mm,
And now saving up that money is always a hurdle. Even the 24 is probably just, yeah, it helps. Um,
mm,
Come to the amount of deposit. I know most of the people have these golden rules of 20% of deposit is what they need to kickstart the buying a home journey. Seems to like be a yeah, golden rule. Everyone's like to use that as a referring or starting point, and because the bank like that number. And if you go to the bank and you borrow more than 80%, the bank is required to buy an insurance called lender mortgage insurance. So that will be extra expenses. So I find that a lot of the first home buyer, when they come to see us, they like to at least have 20%. So back to my example, if we are buying something that is around say 430,000, 20% deposit is, we're talking about $87,000. So if you're on an average income, say 50 to 60,000 a year, when you first started your working journey, to set up 87, you probably will take, 2 3 years, depends, how much you eat or how you
mm.
keep your money or save your money. But usually it will take a couple of years to set up that amount. So Lily, do you have any comment or solution for that, saving up that amount of deposit? Do you have
Yeah,
any on that?
yeah,
Yeah.
before I mentions my some suggestions, right? Having said
Mm,
that, 86,000, right, you mentioned, I
mm,
started thinking about the young people in Sydney, because
mm,
last week we have the agents came in from Sydney's, right? He
yeah,
mentioned one bedroom is about 800 to
yeah,
900,000. So
yeah.
let's say it's 20%, right? I was keep because when you mentioned that, I immediately calculate, oh my goodness, that is around
160,000.
160,000. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is almost double of per
yeah.
property. Yeah, so okay, back to your questions, about savings. Okay, I would
Mm,
say, of course, come up with a savings plan. That is rule
yeah,
number one. I would say that
yeah.
is the easiest one, because
Mm,
that will be good for you, because you learn already how to save and how to spend
mm,
wisely. And then,
mm.
of course, second options, uh, the bank of mom and dad, which is popular
Yoo-hoo.
in these days. It's not only,
Good on
the kids
mom
are
and
not only
dad. My
so
kids are not getting anything.
I'll talk to the auntie or uncle. Okay, so there are a few ways to do it. So speak to the
Yeah,
broker, or talk to our property strategist, I would say. And
yeah,
then for the third option, I can think about just pay the LMI. You just go for a lower deposit and then you pay the LMI. At least you start on something. Of
yeah,
course, finally, and thanks God, we are all in Australia, and our government does so many offer. And then, because I hope
yeah.
some Malaysian is listening, because you wouldn't have such thing in Malaysia, yeah, as far as I know. Okay, so at least you are in Australia, and then our government does offer variant supports for the first home buyer. For
Yeah,
instance, the first home guarantee. I love this. Okay, I actually have a slide again to show how it looks like.
yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
okay, let me flip to.
Yeah, the good
There
old
you go.
day, everyone just pay the LMI, but the insurance. But now, yeah, like what you said, there's so much more um, incentive or not incentive, like help from the government, which
That's
is
right.
really, really
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
it's
Back to you.
best in this country. Yeah. Now, first home guarantee. So this is actually part of the new home guarantee. And since I'm onto these topics, right, I will quickly touch on the family home scheme as well, which is actually not the first home buyer focus, but I will just slightly mention.
Mhm.
I will just mention, since I'm touching that topic. Okay, the first home guarantee started on the 1st of January, back in year 2020, when it was first known as the first home loan deposit schemes. Okay, although the schemes, right, is under this, well, very long name, National Housing Finance and Investment Corporations, and you can actually apply the loan with them, or the guarantee with them. Okay, so you can only do this part of your home loan application with a group of
The
participating lenders.
participating
So
lender. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Mm.
and there is a link actually on the websites, right, that you can check, who is actually on the panel. Okay, there are a
Mm.
group of them. So some of the big banks like CBA, NIB, Bendigo Banks, Police and Nursing, they are actually on the list as well.
Nice.
Of course, they cover also a lot of other small lenders. Okay,
Mm.
but please be aware that not all the lenders is participating this guarantee scheme. So
Mm.
the eligibility of the home loans, right, to participate into these schemes, right, will be actually assessed by the lender. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you are eligible, the lender will actually let you know, and then they will make a so-called a reservations for you. So
Mm.
under this first home guarantee place with reservations, right, they usually last up to 14 days while your lender still doing your access with your loan. Okay, what I'm trying to
Mm.
say here is, you get so when they assess you, they say, okay, yeah, you qualify for the first home guarantee, but it doesn't mean, right, your loan has been approved. There is nothing to do with the loan approval. Okay, but
Mm.
the process is quite detailed, and to be honest, it's quite hard to explain online.
Yeah.
So I would suggest you can contact us, or you
Mm.
can actually how to say, go online and read through it, because it's very detailed. They have the test. They will show you step by step what to do. So
Mm.
which I won't go through tonight into detail, but I will touch it based on like what sort of like requirements and what sort of like benefit they actually provide. So under the first home guarantees, right? Which as I mentioned, right, this is part of the new home guarantee. They actually allow the eligible home buyer to purchase a new home with as little as 5% deposit instead of the 20% deposit, which Lian just mentioned. Okay. And most important thing is, even you have only 5% deposit, you don't need to pay the lender mortgage insurance, which is the LMI, which Lian also just mentioned. Okay. So any guarantee of a home loan is up to a maximum amount of 15%, okay, of the value of the property, okay, that will be assessed by the lender in any way. So this guarantee is not a cash payment, okay, it's not your deposit that you can put into the home loan, okay. And then under the schemes, right, there are as far as I know, the government's already increased the quota up to
Mm.
35,000. Okay,
Yes,
am I right?
definitely. Yes,
35,000, like Lilian?
35,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will be available within the period. So 1st of July 2022,
Mm.
which we just start,
Mm.
until the end of June in 2023. Okay. So what else? To be eligible, of course, you need to be Australian citizen. Okay, so this time it's not PR; it must be a citizen, and then you
Mm.
have to be 18 years old. You can apply through individual or a couple, and listen to the incomes. Yeah, your income up to 125,000. As an individual, you still entitled for that. As a couple, it's 200,000. What a lucky country! And then, of course, the reason must be owner occupied. Okay, you cannot borrow the money for the sake for investments. Okay,
Mm.
and then first home buyer you must be a first home buyer who have previously doesn't own any property in Australia. Okay, and what is the next one? I think this one, the family home guarantee, this is actually not for first home buyer, as I mentioned just
Mm.
now, but the nature is quite close to. This is more for a single family. As I
Yeah.
highlight in here, the deposit even lower. Only
Yeah.
2% you already can afford to buy a house, as compared to Lian just mentioned 86,000, right? Which means that for 2%, it's only 8,600. Am I right, Lian?
I'm
So
getting my calculator now.
so
It's
yes,
more than my brain cannot function.
yeah, because
Oh, yeah. You
it's
are
only
good.
two.
8,600.
That's right, eight thousand six
That
hundred.
is
You can
very
already
good.
buy a house, and the good thing is, here, of course, you must be a single parent. If you are divorced, like you haven't got the certificate, you're not classified as single parents yet, and then you have at least one children with you, and then again the maximum for the income is up to 125,000. Okay, again, intend to owner occupy. You can be, this is again something different. I think this is the highlights, right, that I makes, right, difference from the first home one. First is 2% deposit, and second, you must be a single parent with at least one kid, and then you can be either a first home buyer, or you
Mm.
actually previously own a home, but you don't actually own one when you do the applications. Yeah.
Mm.
And then the next slides, right, I actually try to make a very simple snapshots for the comparison for these two. Okay. So, yeah. So, any questions so far?
Well, that
Lian,
is
any
yeah,
questions? Mm,
such a great scheme that the government put through
that's right.
for the first home buyer here, and even for the single parents family. That is really helpful to help people to really have a place to live in or to call home, especially if there is a young children or a children. It doesn't
That's
have to be young. So I think that is an amazing scheme that the government have actually put out there. So I was
right.
looking up, listening, and trying to look through everything that I have in the chat room, looking through for question. And we do have few question popping in. And if I miss your question, or for audience who actually just signed in, we are talking about a different scheme and grant that the government actually providing for people who buy into the property market for the first time in Western Australia. So feel free to ask us any question. If we miss your question, our contact detail is on the screen. Feel free to get in touch, or we got your question, we will come back to you. So we talk about, I mean, you emphasize about the this time this scheme is only for Australian citizen, Lily. So I have a question they're asking. What if we have say a couple that apply?
Mm.
Do they both need to satisfy the citizenship?
Yes, unfortunately, both need to be an Australia citizens at the times, right, when you apply the loans, okay? Or,
Mm,
on the dates, what we call the home loan dates, okay?
mm,
And the worst is, even if you apply, right, as you know, to be a citizen, you need to wait until you get the certificates, okay? So before you get your official citizenship certificates, right, you are still not considered as passing your citizen test. So
mm.
yes, if you cannot be like first home grants, right? Either one of you, and even your PR, you can entitle. Unfortunately, for this one, you have to be both of you to be a Australian citizen.
Okay, so both of them has to be Australian citizen and
Yep,
actually holding your Australian citizenship certificate or birth certificate,
that's
if you are actually born here. Now, one of the condition of the first home guarantee
right.
that we mentioned is then actually never held an interest in a property in Australia. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like, what do you mean
Okay,
by, yeah, they can't own any
okay,
property here?
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is important for us to understand, yeah, this first home guarantees, right, is try to help genuine, first home buyer. Therefore, to be eligible to be classified as this first home, right, you must declare, okay, first you never actually own a property in Australia,
Mm,
regardless it is a freehold, it is leasehold, or even just you own a piece of land, you still cannot like eligible if you ever have one. So and then when you come to the property ownerships, right, when you do the test, right, it's applied in every state and territories, okay, in within the whole Australia. So you cannot say I previously owned in Queensland, nothing to do with WA. It doesn't count in that. As long as you have ever have an ownership, regardless is in which in Melbourne, Sydney, is still
mm,
classified as. And then what else? Regardless, the property is a residential or commercial,
mm,
or don't care you is a investment or owner
mm.
occupy purpose, you still classify you ever own something, okay? and
Oh,
and also even sometimes you may own that with somebody else, like your former spouse or your de facto partner, you
mm.
still you it's still classified as you ever own an interest in a property in Australia. So
Oh,
that's quite strict on that, yeah, unfortunately.
wow, that was a really good question. Yeah, thanks for sharing that because it's quite detailed in term of, because people when think about have previously have known a property, we will just thinking about a house to live in, but even investment or just a
That's right.
land is considered.
Mm.
Now I have a quick question here. I think our audience has probably just missed the answer. Is PR eligible for this scheme? So yes, for this sorry, I keep keep getting mixed up
Which
with
scheme
the
they're
scheme
referring
name.
to? Yeah, I
So
know. First home
first home
guarantee. Are they
guarantee.
referring to first home guarantee?
Didn't say, but I will just quickly mention the first home guarantee only for citizen, but first
That's right.
home owner grant,
Mm.
PR is eligible. So I hope we answer your question, Leslie. Otherwise, please get in touch with us because everyone's situation is different, and you
That's right.
probably didn't realize that you are in a better position than what you think.
Yeah,
So get in
they'll reach
touch with
out.
us.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, I have another question from a different platform. I just got that message through from the app, the admin support behind us,
Mm.
asking about the deposit requirement. So
Mhm.
5%. What
Mm.
happens if I have more? Is that okay?
Sounds a
I
bit,
understand. Yeah, just a little bit
Okay.
more, say for example.
I know what they're trying to do now. They must be pretending they have only 5%, move the 15% away. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Now, okay. Now, the features of the first home guarantees, right, is try to help those single or couples who have at least 5% deposit, okay, of the value of the property, okay. So if
Mm,
you have 20% or even more, right, then your home loan actually will not be covered by the schemes, okay. And to be
mm,
honest, right, if you have such deposits, please, and it is so important that you do not try and disadvantage other Australian
yeah,
who is really need the help. As I mentioned, right, there is a quota on that. So
yeah,
please don't try to disadvantage others, okay.
yeah.
And come to the deposits, there is one thing that I have to mention. Since
Mm,
the 5% deposits, must be a genuine savings, by the way,
yeah.
that you cannot just get the saving from somewhere else, just
Mm.
just pretend you have that 5% and then out, drop from
It can
sky
be a
and
lump
then you
sum
become
from some.
qualified for the first home guarantee. Yeah, you cannot be
Yeah,
that. Yeah, so it
yeah,
must be a genuine savings. Okay.
yeah. Okay. So in summary, you need to have a minimum of five. Less than that, you can't do it. Five
Yep.
percent deposit, genuine saving, can be a lump sum payment or gift from someone. And then if you have more than, say, if you have 6, 10, or 15, you're still okay to cover under the scheme. I mean, the guarantee.
Yep.
But if you have more than 20, yes, give the opportunity to other people, and you'll be surprised. They will be able to find out.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have another question from a lady here. She's asking about, what
Mm.
about refinancing? Am I able to refinance?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Financing from different bank from this participating lender.
Yes, definitely. So
Yeah,
you can refinance your home loans with another participating lender and
yeah,
continue to have the benefit of the schemes. Okay, or you
mm,
can even refinance to other lenders, right? That is not participating the scheme, as long as you find a lender who happy to take you. Let's say some of the banks do actually offer 95% loan, but you pay a very high LMI. In case you don't mind, yes, there is options on that, but
mm,
please be aware that when you pay down your loan to the balance, right, that is 80% or less of the original value of your property, then basically you will be no longer covered by the scheme. Yeah, I
mm.
hope I answered the
Okay.
questions. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So all sounds pretty awesome to me. Only 5% deposit to kickstart, the whole
mm,
home ownership journey, and that reduce the saving time and plan quite significantly. Now, what if you can start owning your home as little as 2% deposit? I'm not talking about the single parents family home guarantee. Just recently, the WA government, in partnership with Keystart, has launched a new home loan called Urban Connect Home Loan, which I know Lily is going to cover, just to encourage urban infill. So, Lily, I know you have prepared something on that. Do you mind
mm,
share that exciting information with us? I think that was just launched last week.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so as you can see on the screen, so Urban Connect Home Loans, which is very new, as Lian just mentioned, it was just released
Mm,
weeks ago. This is part of the WA government's, 202223 budget, part of the budget. So this is also included in the Key Start loan. And
mm,
what else? The design, the whole purpose for the design is to support, WA government's urban infill priority. As you know, McGovern always mentions that.
mm,
These loans can be used to purchase apartments or within the medium and high density developments. Okay, that's come with at least 2 or more bedrooms. Okay, and then these suburbs, right, usually in the inner metro area that is close to the transportation hub as well. Okay, and excited part is Keystart will actually start to accept the applications from the 25th of July. So you still have 3 days to prepare.
mm,
And again, there is not so much of quota this time. There are only 300 loans available under these schemes. Okay. So
yeah.
for those who is interested, you should start to review all online information, after our seminar. Okay, but today I will still cover a bit more, so that you know what is it's about. Okay.
Mm.
So come to the key criteria. So as Lian just mentioned, you need only 2% of the deposit. Just for some of the apartment that we are selling in Perth CBD right now. So let's say it's 400,000. So basically, if you have $8,000, you become a homeowner. Wow, excited. I wish in my younger times, right, somebody give me the opportunity. Okay. So if in case you say CBDs, because I will go through the price as well. Okay. Now, what else? So you can buy off the plans, you can buy new property, and then you can buy also the established apartments. And again, there's no lender mortgage insurance. The
Mm.
maximum for the purchase price for the property for single is 550,000, and for couples or families will be 650,000. And there is an income restrictions as well. And for
Mm.
single is 180,000. If you are earning more than 180,000, you're not qualified. Okay, for a couple, it's 200,000. I really doubt it. When I look at the figure, I'm quite shocked, which means that this person earning 180,000. Okay, I would say around they are getting paid around 2,000 per week. So which means that in 4 weeks' time, they become a homeowner. You get
Yes.
what I mean, right? Because the deposit
Yeah.
is only need $8,000. Okay, so against the purpose for the purchase, right, is for owner occupied only, which means that
Mm.
you need to live in during the life of your key start loan. Okay, not to rent it out. Okay, and what else? Definitely because you cannot rent it out, so the loan product, right, is not available for the investor. Okay,
Mm.
now come to the location. Just now I mentioned, right? This diagram gives you some ideas, right? What way is the suburbs that's covered under this lawn? So from the north, right, it cover up to the Waterman's Bay, and to the south, right, is go to the South Fremantle, and for the east, right, it's up to Bassendean, Kildare, Welshpool, East Cannington, okay, and then actually you can go into the websites, right, because I can tell like from the screens, right, it looks very small. So go into the website, you can
Mm.
see it, right, you can enlarge it and see it, right, what areas covered. So basically it's all the metro area. Okay, and come to the trend lines. So it basically, I mean, come to the transportation hubs, right? It's covered the all the major lines, the Joondalup line, the Midland lines, and what else, the Armadale and Thornley lines, and also the Mandra, these lines. Okay, so basically our every stops, right, is covered under the eligible transport hub. Okay,
Mm.
and then yeah, I think that's
It's
all about the
it's
yeah.
cover quite a huge range, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
not
that's
when they talk about this scheme, they're quite generous when I look at the criteria.
it is. It is.
Income is so high, like when the income cut off, and the property price that they set are realistic and make sense. They didn't put down two bedroom 350,000, like things that it's not possible.
That's right. It's
Um,
quite achievable. You are right.
yeah, and I think the key, like what you said, is only 300 quota. So application open from next Monday. I just had a quick look at the calendar. 25th is next Monday. So you do have
That's
2 days
right.
to get in touch with us. No, that sounds a little bit
Yeah.
harsh sell, but it's
I
true
hope they
because
won't kill the system later on. They kill the online platform.
yeah, you because currently in the market there is few property available. I'm just thinking about what we have in hand now. I can already tick off some of the property that we are selling. Couple of the project that we have, all sitting
Mm,
in that price range, all sitting
that's
in
right.
that location. Even better, like well connected location, cost to shop, public transport, all these things,
Mm,
and you only need 2% deposit to become a
yeah.
homeowner.
Yeah.
Thinking about the rental market at the moment, so hard to get into the rental market. You're paying as much. Some people worry the interest rate is going up, and please don't forget the interest rate that going up, or they are actually just going back to where it was. We just get so used to the low interest rate environment, and we forgot that 4% is probably around the norm, or even five. Yeah, I think a couple
That's
years ago when I was a first homeowner, I was paying like seven or at some point eight.
right.
So
If not even
yes,
go up to 9% at one stage.
I know. So if even if the interest rate going up to the five, And if you're paying for your own properties, it's still a worthwhile things to do. In my own, personal opinion. Yes. So I think this is a really, really exciting scheme that the WA government has bring out,
Mm,
and generous. Very, very exciting. Yeah.
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 Unfortunately, I have nobody, in our family is, or else,
Eligible.
2% should just get it,
Yeah,
And no
exactly.
LMI, that is a good thing because once you
Yeah.
buy it, right, let's say you start with 2%, okay?
Mm,
So then because you are paying P&I, then you start to pay down, because you don't even pay the LMI. That is so good. And you still can use your grant. That
mm,
is, I cannot understand, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah. So there will be a process to get the loan through. So if you are really thinking about to own your own home, to start that home ownership dream, really start looking into it. Contact us at sales@iqiwa.com.au. And also, if you're a first home buyer, you can actually use multiple grant or scheme that or guarantee that is available. So you just need to sit down with someone or one of our property strategists to work out which one work for you. Because yeah, you can use multiple grant at the same time. Now let me have another quick look to see if we have any more question here.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think I still have the last one, the low deposits.
Oh, yep. You have
Yeah.
yeah.
We just
Do you want
quickly
to
just
just
going through
quickly
that one.
mention that? Yeah.
Yeah, because beside the Urban's Connect home loans, right, that we just mentioned, right, Keystart
Mm,
is actually offering another very similar low deposit home loans. Okay, so the deposit is the same as low as 2%, no LMI, and then this one can actually use for established home or new home. And what else? As I mentioned, right, they allow you to use the first home grant as well. And this
mm,
one, right, especially they allow you no saving history required. And then for the maximum purchase price is 480,000. In
mm,
WA, I think 480,000, you still have quite a fair bits of options. And there
mm,
is an income limit as long as if you're single, you're not more than 105,000 and per year. And for a couple or family, you're not more than 155,000. And then I think it's quite good. But by the way, and for this particular home loans, they actually consider Centrelink benefit as
ah,
income as well. Okay, of course, the loan amount still based on your income level. Um, when come to the loan repayments, right, is a P&I home loans. So there is no such thing called interest only loan for this particular. I mean, they're kind enough, right, for 2% for 2% deposit. And other criteria is quite common sense, like 18
mm,
years old, you must be Australian citizen or PR is you can get that. And what else? You cannot own a home or land, when the times when you do the applications. Okay. And what else? You need to have a stable income and regular employment for the at least for the last 6 months. And of course you can find more information on the website. Beside, this one I just mentioned, low deposit home loans, on the website you will find also the share ownership, the access home loan, the rural home loans. And anyway, everyone's circumstances is different. Please in touch with
mm,
our staff to find out more. And
mm,
as I mentioned, like everyone's circumstance is different, right? So I think it's worth to set up an appointment, talk to our strategists or even
mm.
our brokers, right, and come up with and see what will be the best
Yeah. The
methods that
option.
suit
Yeah.
you or plans that suit you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Considering there's so many help out there. So today we talk about the first homeowner grant, which you get 10,000, almost like a cash payment if you buy a brand new, and then if you buy anything under 430,000, that is stamp duty free. And what else? We talk about, oh, if you buy anything from 430 to 530, then you have you pay a pro rata of stamp duty. So still pretty good. Any saving is saving. And then we talk about the first home guarantee, which is you just need a 5% deposit, and then you don't need to pay LMI. And then the family home guarantee as well, 2% deposit, no LMI. And that Urban Connect home loan product. So there is so many different scheme and product out there that will help you to kickstart your home ownership dream. So, like Lily, what Lily said before, everyone's situation is different, and then we talk to someone to tailor a specific plan for you. Now is a golden time and opportunity, and lots of help out there. So get in touch with us, or if you have a broker that you work with, go and speak to them and tell them, what you can do or what are your options. Yeah. We I'm quite conscious of time. We are close to the 9 o'clock. Oh, one thing that I would like to mention is, Lily, you mentioned on that there is a few other things that we didn't cover today because we realized in an hour try to cover so
Mm,
many awesome things is not possible.
mm,
And other than a share ownership, there is something else that the first home buyer or can consider is the super saver. So you can save deposit through your
yeah.
super fund. So that is
Mm,
another great things to look into as well. If you want to find out more information on that one, get in touch with us. Yeah. Just have a quick look of some of the chat room, and I can't see any question coming through. And I think we will end the evening. Is there anything else you would like to add in before I close the session, Lily?
I think all good. Come up with
Mm,
a plan. Yeah,
yeah,
we
I
all
think
young
just
at
really
one
talk to
age.
someone, isn't it? Yeah, talk really, think about it, talk to someone. And if you don't start now, when you just need 5% deposit or two, it's
Mm,
going to get harder to start. And
yeah,
looking at
that's
how
right.
the construction market going now, we're not going to have many stock
Yeah. I
available.
just start to imagine if these schemes, right, is available in Hong Kong, 2%.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, everyone will get crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all good. Yeah.
Once again, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I hope you have learned something new today, or even if you're not first home, have that knowledge, share with someone. I think that is what we're missing when we are a first home buyer. We didn't know. So if you know, share with someone who hasn't got a home. You will
That's
save someone life. Yeah.
that's right.
And
Mm,
have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you once again. Have a great evening. Bye bye.
right.